Good morning, everybody. It's Ben Baker coming to you live from the Your Living Brand show. Good morning. It's 10 o'clock on the West Coast, so I guess wherever you are, you're either settling down for lunch, it's early in the afternoon, or you're joining us around early morning. So I just wanted to welcome you guys. It's a beautiful day here in Vancouver. I hope everybody had a great July 4th long weekend, a great Canada Day, and are ready for a show. My name is Ben Baker. My company, 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, is Your Brand Marketing. What we are is we're a consultancy that does training and also does keynote speaking. We work with you on brand, message, market, vision, and value. Our idea is to engage your audience, get you noticed, and get people understanding about your brand. Now, today, we have a great guest. It's something a little bit different. Tim Brown is the director and CEO of QC Alliance. Now, QC Alliance is a company that does basically quality control for and certification for the promotional product industry. Now, I'm going to bring Tim on board, and I'm going to let him tell us their story. Now, good morning, Tim. How are you?
Good morning, Ben. How are you today?
I am doing just great. You know, I don't know what the weather's like where you are, but we have a bright sunny day here.
It is absolutely beautiful here. 80s, sunny, little humid, but we'll take the rest of it. It's beautiful.
That's right. Listen, it's better. It could be you could be in Arizona. It's 120 degrees today.
I'll pass on that.
Yeah, you and me both. You and me both. So, you know, Tim, we're just gonna get started on this. It says, let's start with the question I tell everybody. Tell me your story. Tell me about Tim Brown and tell me about QC Alliance.
Okay, so Tim Brown, I have. We'll start with that, and then we'll hit with the good stuff with QC. With Tim Brown, I've been in the industry now going on 11 years. Started with a top 40 distributor doing vendor relations. That morphed into compliance and more. And it's something that a lot of people have typically shunned or want to bury their heads in the sand when the subject comes up. I was one of those. Yeah, I did not want to deal with it. I had actually come from the healthcare industry, so I was excited to get somewhere where I didn't have to worry about as much from a compliance angle.
Right.
And then everything hit here with CPSIA, and Prop 65 was rearing its head, and it's just one thing after another. And so
explain CPSIA, just what the acronym stands for.
CPSIA, Consumer Product Safety Improvement Act, and it's designed to protect kids. I mean, at the end of the day, this is geared towards kids 12 years of age and younger, and it has to do with tracking labels and testing requirements and things like that for children's products.
Gotcha.
So I just dove into it. I didn't really have a choice because of the organization I worked for. It was a large international corporation, and Promo Products was a small portion of what they did, a very small portion. And so you couldn't afford to have something like that hurt the other businesses for not doing something the way you should. And
exactly.
And they had a strong propensity already for social compliance, as well as some environmental activities as well. So product safety rolls right into that as just being a good steward and being a responsible organization. So we did that. The whole intent was we needed to protect the brands of our customers. And so that then brought me full circle. I left there, went to PPAI where I taught.
Which is the Promotional Product Association International.
Promotional Products Association International, yes. And was the product responsibility manager there. And so in that case, what I did is I helped put on webinars, helped write content for compliance and responsible sourcing. I went all over the place helping to teach the Product Safety Aware program, which is a requirement for any supplier that wants to exhibit on the trade show floor at Expo. And also really anybody, distributor, supplier, wants to advertise through the mediums, through Newslink or PPB or anything else that PPAI offers. So, and that's PPB, Promotional Business Magazine, promotional products business magazine. So
we are a business of acronyms, aren't we?
Yes, we are. And so you get, when I'm talking, here colleague to colleague, I just start throwing them around and forgetting your audience might not know what I'm saying. So then that brought me here. And so QCA, founded back in 2008, 2009.
Yeah.
And really what it was is for the same reason that I, in the beginning, got into the whole compliance thing. I'm not somebody that loves regulations. Let's put it that way.
Right.
And I'm not out there rah, let's have more of that. But I understand how it affects our industry and how it can negatively impact our industry big time. And so as having a love of the industry and wanting to do the right thing where I dove in, I figured this stuff out. And QCA at the same time was forming to say, you know what, we need someone who can go out and say, here's some things you need to abide by and hold people accountable.
Exactly.
And one of the differences, sometimes I get questioned a lot, why aren't PPAI and QCA working together more on this stuff? And, we do. There's a lot of people that are from QCA accredited companies that are on the Product Responsibility Action Group for PPAI. You'll hear PRAG all the time. They're sharing their knowledge. They're sharing their information. The Product Responsibility Summit that PPAI puts on each year, well-attended event by industry practitioners. You have the government there as well. And they put out a manual each year, and it's really a manual to walk you through setting up your own programs and doing all this stuff from the compliance side. And there's a couple of them I worked on specifically. Actually, 3 of them I was involved in doing a lot of that and putting it together. But it was with the assistance of the people who were on PRAG. And most of them were ones that were part of the Quality Certification Alliance as an accredited supplier. So they're happy to share that information for the betterment of the industry and do those things. So the difference in the two, though, is one's in position to teach, protect, and grow the industry.
Right.
And that's our trade association. Quality Certification Alliance is, if you think about it from other types of accreditation bodies, people are very familiar with ISO 9000. So you go through these processes, they give you the outline, you go through it. Somebody comes in and verifies that you're doing what you say you're going to do.
And from what I understand about ISO, it's as much about understanding the paperwork as it is, the process.
Right. So that's what it is with what our accreditation is. It's not just testing. People often talk about, we test, so we're okay. Well, do you know really what you're testing for in what instances? Why are you testing it? And what are you doing about social responsibility? Do you know where your stuff's coming from? Are they using child labor? Are they using slave labor? What are the working conditions like? When was the last time a factory was audited? What are the living conditions like in some of these communities in China where they house the employees?
Or Bangladesh, where 1,000 people die in a fire.
Thank you. Yes, you're right. And that's a perfect example. And so not that things don't happen.
Right.
But you want to do all you can to mitigate things. You want to treat people right. You want to mitigate risk to people. You want to mitigate risk to brands. And when we say people, it doesn't matter if it's the people making the product or the people buying the product or the people using the product. You want to mitigate risk throughout that whole chain. So,
well, it's not just mitigating the risk. I mean, the risk is important, but it's also risk to the brand itself. It's the social risk of the brand of the brand being associated with a factory going down in Bangladesh, or having a huge recall because somebody didn't do the steps to make sure that there wasn't lead paint on the actual product in McDonald's or whatever. It's a big thing that the promotional product industry has been involved in for years now, to make sure that we know the chain of where things are coming from. We know the processes of the suppliers that are out there, and that we have people going on a regular basis to audit the factories in the Far East, in Bangladesh, in India, or wherever, to be able to make sure that yes, they're in safe conditions. Yes, there isn't the child labor. Yes, there isn't the slave labor. And yes, they're not using practices that are going to be harmful for children, anywhere in the world. And I think that's the value from what I see that, that QCA and the PPAI are bringing making sure that, when you're buying from an accredited source, when you're buying through the industry, that that those are the steps that are being taken.
Exactly, and you summarized it very well. I said the right steps are being taken, and where I was making that differentiation before is one is teaching it, one's out advocating for it and promoting it, and then the only difference, in that we're sharing in that message with them.
Yeah.
And then those that want to put the teeth behind it, want to invest the money, see the value of having this verified or validated differentiator, they're going to put the money into it. And that's where we come in. It's no different than, like I said, other accrediting bodies in any other industry. ISO is just one example. There's RAP, there's Blue Sign, there's B Corps.
Exactly.
I mean, go on. And that what they do is they work within industries. They don't work against the industry. They work within the industry. And so that's where we fit in. That's where QCA came about. And I was a big advocate for QCA when I was on the distributor side because, one, it made my job easier.
Oh, absolutely.
Really, at the end of the day, it made my job easier.
Yeah, when I'm selling something, when I know that the factories have been audited, because let's face it, if you're buying $5,000 worth of pens from a distributor, that distributor doesn't have within his budget to fly to China, go take a look at the factory, do the audit, make sure that everything's being done, make sure that samples are being sent to a testing facility, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It just doesn't happen. And it doesn't matter if it's a $5,000 job or a $50,000 job. There isn't the ability to do that. But if we're working with suppliers in our industry that are buying millions of dollars worth of materials from any particular plant, they have the processes in place and they have the people in place to be able to make sure that those audits are actually happening and that those tests are actually happening. So that your supply chain is a safe supply chain, and being part of that is really important.
It's invaluable. It really is. And I want to even pause right there and say, look, it's not that you have to be accredited to be doing the right things.
Right.
I talk with different suppliers out there all the time, and I have conversations with them, and they're doing very well, without it. But not everybody can afford to do that. Not everybody else. But then also, some think they're doing better than they are, so you don't have somebody validating it. So it's all over the place. And so if people, if you're a distributor and you want to make sure things are being done correctly, you have to vet your suppliers. I've been speaking for years. You need to vet them. When I made the comment, made my job easier in the past, I didn't have to vet as deeply because there's a third party going in and doing it for me. That made my job easier. But, if as a distributor, you have the resources to vet, hey, go for it. Vet those guys. There were suppliers I had to vet deeply on my own, and then there were others because I invested in learning about the QCA process that I felt, okay, now I'm good over there.
Absolutely. Now, here's my question. It says, so QCA, your clients are the suppliers within our industry. How do you demonstrate your value and communicate your value to them, in order for compliance? I mean, compliance is a horrible word. It's a terrible word. Everybody sits there, they think of Big Brother and the big stick, when they're thinking compliance. So, how do you communicate your value to them and be able to have them understand that you're on their side, with a name like QC Alliance,
Well, that's a very interesting question, and that's why I'm going to actually give you a little bit more of a story here. So,
stories are good.
Strategy and our direction.
Yes.
When I came on board here back in September, that had been the prevailing thought was we were going to try to communicate to suppliers why you should do this.
Okay.
Communicate to distributors why they need to care. You and me both been around the block in this industry enough. We know that, to get people to do something in the industry just because it's the right thing to do, and it's not just unique to our industry, it's really any industry, you don't have much of a chance of getting it done. And so PPAI, I came from there where tons of effort are being a ton of effort is being expensed to educate and teach and grow and do all these things and get that message to resonate.
Right.
Well, then you got QCA coming along trying to do the same thing, but for the scale of if you invest in it too, it's going to help you. While that's true, to get that to resonate with a supplier, very few saw the value in investing on top of it. Now, there are comments in the past, hey, if my clients were asking me for it, I see what you guys are doing. I like it. It's important. And when I feel that there's a need that I have to do it for a business reason because I'm being forced to or driven to by my clients, I'll do it. So when
sort of like when I upgrade software.
Yeah. You have to.
That's right. When the old software doesn't work anymore, all right, fine, I'll upgrade the software.
We're not going to support that phone anymore or
That's right.
computer anymore, and you're on your own.
That's right.
So what I did is I came in and with the one of my first board meetings, we were talking and kicking around ideas of how to turn this thing around, and I had alluded to some of it during my interview, but then we really went somewhere with it as a group when you start brainstorming, and it was like, you know what? Let's go to the people that this means something to.
Right.
Let's quit trying to convince this industry. Let's go talk to the end buyers. They're the ones whose brands are at risk. They're the ones who are going to set the tone for what's expected and not expected. And some were aware of QCA, some were not. Some were big supporters, some were lukewarm, some wanted to learn more about it. But it was really go to the people that it means something about. Now that narrative has also grown into something to the effect of, you just talked about brand and compliance, the difference. You mentioned the value for a brand and protecting the brand and mitigating risk for the brand, but you also mentioned then compliance being a dirty word. And there's a lot of truth in that. When you say compliance, people, tense up, they get nervous. And so I've changed the dialogue. Actually, I was supposed to do a webinar last week with Paul Kiwi and them over at MIPA, and they had some technical difficulties, so we have to reschedule. But that was all about talking to end buyers and my experience this year, talking to them and what they expect. And the bottom line is they expect you to protect their brand. They expect you to take care with the products that you're buying for them and putting their logo on.
Yeah.
And the reason they do it is because they understand the value of their brand.
Absolutely.
If you go to them with the conversation about compliance, you're confusing them, you're scaring them, you're making them think, is the industry bad? No, when I talk to them, it's all about protecting the brand. You invest in it, you build it, you made this brand something that has a reputational value, its image. And why would you risk putting your logo on something that you don't know if kids made it, if slaves made it, if people were being beaten in the making of it, if it has lead that's going to poison people, and let's go on and on and on. Why would you risk your brand with that? And they go, wow. And then when I get their attention with that, and they're going, yeah, you're right. I say, and it's not the medium.
Right.
The medium is fantastic. And then I like some of the stuff that the PPAI has out, with the whole, help me with the initiative they got going right now.
Oh, that's, I know which one you're talking about. There's a brand new initiative that they're starting, and they're going after the end user as well.
Exactly. And so they're sharing the value of promotional products with them. And I hate that all of a sudden I'm tongue-tied and can't remember it. But I use some of the stats and statistics that they've shared with the industry over the years. And one of my favorite things is this is the only advertising medium people tell you thank you when you deliver the message. They're not fast forwarding it. They're not get in touch. Get in touch.
The Get in Touch campaign. You got it before I did.
Yeah. And so that campaign is great. It's creating awareness about how valuable this is, and it's helping to get rid of the trickage and trash mentality or perception that there is. So this supports it. When we talk compliance, it supports it, but we can't be out there talking compliance when we're talking to end buyers about it. It has to be about the brand. Everything's about the brand.
Absolutely. So when you're talking, who are you talking to? Are you talking to brand managers? Are you talking to CEOs? Are you talking to marketing types? Who are you talking to when you're out there talking to end users?
All the above. I'm exhibiting at large conferences. where we're looking at three primary targets right now. So I'm looking at anything compliance related. So I'm where the people who are my choir are,
Right.
so that they'll take the message back to their marketing departments and take it back to their procurement departments.
Gotcha.
Then I'm exhibiting at marketing conferences. So I'm getting the people who that's their job. It is building and protecting the brand. So and then I'm at procurement conferences. And there I am with the people who can influence the purchasing policies for that indirect spend and make the requirements and insist on what their expectations are of promotional distributors and suppliers. And all of those are interconnected in that piece. They're all major influencers of the promotional product spend in one way or another throughout their organizations. And so I'm talking to people from the buyer or the coordinator all the way through to the VPs and executive directors and that of their organizations.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's the right strategy as far as I'm concerned, because you're dealing with the people that have their hand on their wallet.
Yeah.
You know, these are the people that are making the decisions. These are the people who are sitting there going, I've got 100 different places where I can use my spend money in order to be able to communicate the value of my brand.
Yeah.
If I'm going to use promotional marketing, and I think that promotional marketing is a phenomenal medium. It really is. I mean, you touch it, you feel it. It's there. It reminds you of the person long after you're out of the room. So there's real value in it, but it's got to be safe. And it's got to be something that's going to support your brand. Why do you want to buy 100,000 pens? Go to Alibaba, buy them yourself, and by the way, that when the pens show up and they start leaking in all your customers' pockets, you know what? What does that do for your brand? What does that do about your message of we're a quality organization? We pay attention to detail, and 100,000 pens are all of a sudden leaking in your customers' pockets. It's a matter of what is the story you want to tell, and the story as an end user and as as someone who's in the marketing game is we are a brand of value, and we are a brand of innovation, and we are a brand that is going to take care of our customers. And if you're giving away cheap stuff that's going to break and is going to cause people harm, it's incongruent with your brand message. So, you're right on track. If you talk to the people that are end users, they understand that, and they're going to talk to the promotional product people who are going to talk to the suppliers and make sure the whole chain is on the same page. Because if they're not, if all of a sudden you can't say, well, I've got a QCA stamp on this thing, well, we're not buying your product. Because we don't know where it came from. We can't trace this thing back to this factory and basically say, you know what, if there's a problem, we know exactly this was done on shift X on day Y in this factory. And that's important. God forbid you should ever have a recall. But if you do, you need to be prepared for it. And you need to know how to fix that problem and fix it quick.
Well, and that's another important thing I think people don't realize. Part of the accreditation process for those that go through our program, they must complete at least one mock recall every single year.
Right.
And so, they have to go through the whole process as if it was a real one, and they're graded on that. And that is a requirement because Samsung has been known for quality for years, and look at the debacles that they found themselves in recently.
Yeah.
There's other brands. Things go wrong with good quality brands.
Absolutely.
It's how you handle it then at that point. If you can't handle it well, everybody involved is truly in a deeper ditch. Yeah. Whereas if you can handle it effectively and quickly, people then will be, okay, stuff happens, but they're doing the right thing. And you know what? They did everything right up front. So, okay, we can chalk it up. It doesn't mean that you don't suffer any kind of damage, but you can minimize that damage to your brand. So it's just very important that you have all these processes in place.
It is.
You talked about the pens leaking. More importantly, you buy a charger and you're charging your phone or your laptop,
and it blows up.
The house charging up, plugged into the wall, and it catches fire.
Yeah.
That's a biggie, and I've got some stories on those. I've had people call me and Tim, I sold this charger and it caught fire in my customer's apartment.
And the apartment burns down.
Well, fortunately, the ones I know of didn't burn down the apartment, but There was smoke,
but it could.
There was fire damage, but yeah, it could. It could. Yeah.
And God forbid there's loss of life.
Exactly.
You know, I mean, and
it's $3 difference or whatever it would be
exactly.
for a cheap charger or one that has been tested and certified.
That's right. And those are the things that a lot of people don't take into consideration. Those extra $2 or $3 that you may spend on a product means that they've spent the money to get the things certified, to have them tested, to have them checked, to make sure. Yes, Samsung had a huge debacle. Yes, they did. But guess what? They realized that, and they jumped to the pump and they recalled everything, and it cost them billions of dollars.
Yeah.
And not only did it cost them billions of dollars, but it cost them brand equity, which is worth far more than whatever money that that it cost them in terms of dollars and cents. And that's going to be the thing that's going to hurt them, in the long run. It's not people will forget that the batteries actually exploded. People will remember the lack of trust of Samsung longer than they will remember that an actual battery exploded.
Yeah, it's the brand equity. You nailed it. That what does it stand for, and are the decisions that they're making in line with their values?
Yeah.
So
Tim, we're coming to the end of the show. I got one last good question for you. It says, and that question is, what is the one thing you want people to remember about you and QC Alliance? If when you walk out of the door, when you're out of the room and people are talking amongst themselves,
right?
What's the one thing you want people to remember about you and your brand?
People know me for this, but I want to reiterate: I care about the industry deeply.
Yeah,
I have a sincere desire to see the people in this industry succeed. Quality Certification Alliance is here to help the industry do that. We protect brands, and we give tools to the distributors and the suppliers in this industry to offer a differentiator out in the market with their end buyers so that they can go to their end buyers and offer that brand protection. There are no guarantees. Things can still happen, but boy, you're in a much better position when you go with QCA. So what I want people to think about is QCA cares about the industry. The suppliers who are part of QCA care about the industry. The distributors that are involved in it through the Distributor Advocacy Council care about it. And I care deeply about it. And we are here to help grow this industry. We are here to help protect brands.
Well, that's great. Thank you. Thank you so much, Tim. I really appreciate you coming on board and you giving us your insight. And, every brand is valuable. Yes. Every brand tells a story, and every brand has something that they can share with the world. And it's understanding what makes us unique. And it's a matter of understanding what makes us valuable in the world that allows us to tell a story. And you tell a great story. So thank you very much. I really appreciate that.
No, I appreciate you having me. Thank you very much. Really do enjoy it. It was good.
All right. Hang on a second. I'm just going to sign off, and then I'll be right back.
All righty. Thank you.
All right. So next week, we are going to have Joe Scott on the line. Joe is a buddy of mine. He's going to be coming to us live from Minnesota. Joe is the AdWords Google guru. He is an amazing guy when it comes to understanding how to use Google AdWords to really pinpoint in on your customers about what you're trying to tell and the story that you're trying to tell and get it out to the right people. It's something that is extremely valuable, and I hope you turn in next week to be able to hear me and Joe talk. So last of all, this is Ben Baker. My company is Your Brand Marketing, 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. It's all about consulting, training, and keynote speaking. That's what I do. I talk to people about brand, message, market, vision, and value. What do you do? Why do you do it? And why people should care? And I help you engage your clients. This has been the Your Living Brand Show. Thank you very much, and have a great day.